I know this guy's chomping at the bit to get in. He's one of our regulars, Jim in Staten Island. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, Ed. How you doing?
Hey, Jim.
This is an honor. Jason,
hey, Jim.
I'm a huge fan. I've been a fan since the Virginia Woolf days.
There you go.
Wow.
How about Air Race? What about that one?
Even,
Yeah.
Virginia Woolf toured America, though, right? In, when were we, 96? No, 86. What am I thinking? 86, yeah, with the firm.
Yeah, right. You guys opened. Yeah, that's probably the first time I saw you live, and then Outrider and on from there. And I was lucky enough to meet you a few years back at the PNC in Jersey at a meet and greet, and you could not have been cooler. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
I'll be quick because I'm sure a million people want to talk to you. I just hope that at some point there's another leg of this physical graffiti show in the New York, Jersey area, like maybe the Wellmont, something like that.
Well, I can't tell you for sure right now, but I think you've got a good chance that we'll be definitely around the October, November time, like our usual time.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
I can live with that. Thank you, sir. All right, my question, I just was wondering, back a few years back, you did a project with Glenn, California Breed, which I love.
Yes.
I was just wondering
Love that record.
how that came. Yeah, I was just wondering how that came about and if that was a fun experience.
That was a very fun experience at the time. Glenn introduced me to this young kid called Andrew Watt.
Who's now like the king of producing the Stones and doing pop records and had a huge career.
Over 860 billion streams, I think he's up to now. And he was just this young kid that came in and he stayed at the house. I mean, we're literally talking only, this would be 2014, right before I got together with Sam. So literally end of 2013, we ended up going to Dave Cobb's house because I loved what he did with Rival Sons. And literally, Glenn and I financed the album, 10 grand each, paid for the hotel. I drove in my McLaren from Florida to Nashville to prove to my wife it was a practical car and put all the drums in it. And I drove it all the way. But yeah, I mean, Dave, that was my first time working with Dave, and this was prior him working with Chris Stapleton. So it was still, he was still loved what he did with the Pressure and Time and all of that, that
too.
Great sounding stuff. So I ended up taking a drum kit there, but I used, the drummer's kit that was already there because why fix it? It wasn't broken. We just played on that. But yeah, great experience. Loved the material we wrote together. It was one of those projects. And then I got offered the Sam gig. So I asked him if I could take a little time out. And Glenn wasn't that happy with me then. And he refuses to say this. But he actually did fire me from that band. He doesn't remember it that way, but he did.
Because they did a run with another drummer in Europe.
Joey Castillo. What's his name? Played with Queen's Stone Age.
Yeah.
So he went in and stood in for me. But I got to know Andrew, and that was my thing. I was still loaning him money at that point, and he was on the couch. And just he blew up and became. It's
crazy because you weren't there, but when that record came out on my radio show, my FM show in New York, I had Glenn, Andrew, and Dave Cobb in studio, and you weren't available, so you weren't there at the time to promote that record. I still have photos from that night and everything. And Andrew was the unknown kid. I mean, he was literally like 22 years old. Yep. And I was like, okay, nice to meet you, whatever. And then, of course, you were, everyone knew Jason, everybody knew Glenn. And here was this unknown kid. And that kid, as I've talked about, has gone on now to have this extraordinary career writing and producing for the biggest pop artists. And recently produced the last Stones record. I mean, it's crazy.
Elton.
I mean, it's crazy what
Pearl Jam.
But that album, that California Breed album, if people didn't, because it was not a big record, it was not overly successful, but it's a really good record. It's a really cool record. If you